Simonds cuts 9% of their workforce. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. I want to talk about this article from the Fin Review. Home builders are cutting jobs as they face major losses. And, well, they're focusing on Simonds Group. They cut 9% of their staff, including construction employees, to match cost to production ability. The sector will cut more workers when the current boom ends, industry figures say. So, well, let's jump over and have a look at Simonds Group. They're a big builder. They're a spec home builder, guys. Nothing too surprising. Their share price is just, well, it's been tanking for some time. It was over $1.50 in 2015, and now it's 19 cents. I think it's been some time since it's paid a dividend. I think the last one was $14.15 back here. So it ain't looking too good for them. Let's have a look what else they have to say here. Simonds said last month it would cut 69 staff across its sales and construction arms, cutting capacity in a sector where land title delays, severe weather, and supply chain and labour shortages had lowered its total housing starts to 2,376 in the year to June from 2,719 in 2021. We had to go through a process of right-sizing the business to deliver the homes we know we can deliver, Chief Executive Riyad Simonds told the Australian Financial Review on Tuesday. We know what can be delivered over the next 18 to 24 months. Based on that, we didn't need the headcount we had across the board. The current constraints that have slowed the production of new dwellings are prolonging a building boom that for many builders is profitless, as they find themselves crunched by rising costs and fixed price contracts that have little scope to vary. Now, these fixed price contracts, well, the housing sector, the spec housing sector, it's a funny game, guys, because people who are buying the houses, the consumers, they're treated with kid gloves. So they're always the one that are protected. So that's why you have the mandatory fixed price contracts, which you really wouldn't have in a commercial situation. You've got allowances for inflation and unforeseen things. But it's a little different. You know, you as the professional, you as the builder, you take on a lot more risk and responsibility with these type of jobs. And the profit just may not be there. It's not, these things aren't that profitable, particularly the speckies. It's about getting the numbers through and getting efficiencies. But when you've got all of these you've got an overheated market, then you've got everything constraining your ability to deliver these efficiencies, that's when it becomes a disaster. Simonds swung to a net after-tax loss of $9.7 million in the year to June from the $4.7 million profit due to soaring costs and building timeframes that it said had increased significantly. Not everyone in construction is feeling the crunch. Figures published on Tuesday by data company Creditor Watch show risk of default in construction industry companies is just half of that of food and beverage and well below that of arts and education-related sectors. While food and beverage services top the list with 7.2% probability of default over the next 12 months, construction companies monitored by Creditor Watch had just a 3.76% probability. That's much lower than I would assume when we're seeing so many builders wind up. So, making them closer to the lowest ranked healthcare and social assistance sector, which shows just a 3.26% probability. And these are pretty much government funded, honestly, healthcare and social assistance. While there have been notable administrations in the area, the majority of companies are still okay, Creditor Watch chief economist Anneke Thompson said. Well, see, even if we just drift, it's going to feel like a significant number of builders are going under, because if we just drift back up to the norm, because, well, it's been nuts. Creditor Watch's data was skewed towards larger companies that had more resources to withstand a slowdown, and this was why the industry appeared so healthy compared with the hospitality sector, Ms. Thompson said. Compare it to the industry the most at risk, food and beverage, they tend to be dominated by smaller mum and dad operators, she said. But further pain awaits the home building sector as a whole. Once the prolonged home building boom triggered by record low borrowing costs and massive stimulus from the federal government's home builder payments ends, companies face a sharp drop off in demand. Wow! How many articles have we read discussing the collapse of builders going under and all of this type of stuff? And this is the first time I recall there actually being a mention of the boom, the government stimulus that's caused all these problems. It's brought work forward. If we have a look here, I'll bring up this chart. You can see the blue line here. That's the home builder effect. And that's future projects that have come forward. And, well, usually when you get a skyrocketing line up, it comes right back down. In terms of home building, there's definitely a bit of a burst on the cards, said Tim O'Leary, a senior lecturer in construction economics at the University of Melbourne. How long it is a matter for people to speculate on. The industry is expecting it. New homes will decline, and this will affect builders, the HIA says. Yes, new homes, but what about other sectors? Our expectation is that sales through the next 12 months will continue to slow off the rise in the cash rate, the HIA chief economist Tim Reardon said. This makes it likely other builders would also cut staff, Mr. Reardon said. If sales will continue to slow, then they will follow suit, he said. Mr. Simonds declined to say what the current and likely job losses across the sector would mean for capacity in the home building sector when demand picked up again, saying he could only speak to the current losses. It's based on the supply of materials we know we can source, he said. That's what it boils down to. So, well, let's have a bit of a talk about this. An interesting point they finished on in the article there, because, well, demand for housing is going to increase again. We already have rental issues in many parts of Australia, and a lot of that is to do with just supply. It's a pain to build normally, let alone when you have all of these other constraints on the sector. And now we're losing people. Builders are going under. Tradies are probably quitting. Builders are probably retiring and going, nah, had enough. Can't be bothered dealing with this shit. Getting out of the game. And then, 6 months' time, Labor's ramping up immigration, getting more people over here to address the skills shortages. International students, which are applicants higher than pre-COVID, start flooding back to Australia. Life starts returning back to normal. You've got tourists returning again, so Airbnb demand goes up. All of these things are going to increase the demand for housing. And then what's going to happen when we don't have the capacity to address that demand, when supply can't keep up? What always happens to housing then? Are we going to get a huge, massive correction in property prices, guys? Or are we going to see, well, demand for property increase, supply not able to reach it, so then established houses will go up in price? Isn't that always the way? Seems to feel like it. What do you think? You tell me. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Check out my other channels, HeiseBim and HeiseSays International, for other content I create. And if you want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can help out financially on YouTube or Patreon, using our referral links on Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband, or you can call us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode of HeiseSays. It's going to be an interesting time ahead in construction, guys. Definitely will be.